Hello everyone and a very good afternoon. First of all, welcome to our lecture on blockchain, future application and issues. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce our speaker. Our speaker is Mr. Abhishek, who is a co-founder at Pearl and ex-product owner for the PolicyBazaar.com services product. Uh, he has been an advisor to several startups such as esports.com, while Blockchain Advisory Council, NEFCON, etc. His book has been published by BPB Publications, Asia largest publisher of IT books. Lastly, he was nominated for the Top 50 Tech Leaders Award by Intercon Dubai. He has been invited as a speaker at one of the Europe's biggest blockchain conferences, Decentralized 2019 in Athens, Greece. As a speaker at the Blockchain World Forum in Shenzhen, China, and as a panelist speaker with a nomination for Best Crypto Educator in Guru's Awards by Next Block Asia 2.0 in Bangkok, Thailand last year. So first of all, welcome Abhishek,
Thank you.
and
Thank you so much.
and welcome to everyone else as well who's joining our lecture today. I hope this session will be fruitful and helpful to all of you. So without wasting any more time, I would like to hand it over to Abhishek so that we can officially start our lecture for today. Best of luck, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Hamza. Thanks a lot for having me here. Honestly, it's an honor to be here amongst the audience that I'm able to see here. So this should be a brilliant experience for me. I hope that it is the same for you as well, all of you. I'll just what I'll do is I'll just share my screen. Uh, Hold on. Right. Can someone just tell is my screen all perfectly visible?
Yeah, Abhishek, you can proceed with this.
Great. All right. Okay. Um, 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. Welcome, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Rishi sir had invited me for this, and honestly, it was great to see him 3.5 years later. He has been my faculty for over 4 years at in my college, and so I hope that this session would definitely bring some value to you, whatever minute or major it might be. And all right, let us begin. So, as you all know, we've set up this lecture titled Blockchain Applications, Issues, and Future. So, to be very honest, my purpose today hereby would be to help all of us, including myself as well as every one of you, understand the core challenges that blockchain system faces, and the primary use cases, some primary use cases we'll see. I've covered a couple, about three use cases in blockchain. There are maybe 20 more. We can explore them. We can have a discussion, and then we can explore prospects of future research. I heard that UTP has been doing great in blockchain research. There are a few universities that I am honestly seeing across the world who are very much targeted towards blockchain. This University of Nicosia in Cyprus, Greece, is one such university. They were the first ones to issue a certificate on blockchain, a degree, an entire degree on blockchain, and they are the ones who conduct the decentralized 2019 conference every year, and they do an MSc in digital currency. And I've seen that their course to grow. I've seen it from quite a lot of time. Then even in India, Amity University has come up with Amity Online, who are doing some great courses on blockchain. And similarly, as I see that UTP, I have not read much about UTP, but when I looked into the courses and all, and I had a discussion with Rishi sir, I could understand that even a lot of you are doing PhD in blockchain. I mean, that is phenomenal, because honestly, even I don't know, I personally don't know, but I believe that I have not seen anything like that even 2 years back. So when I have been in blockchain since about 3-4 years now, but since after I left college. But honestly, a PhD in blockchain or a master's in digital currency, not something that these are things that are very unheard of. So in fact, when I was speaking to Rishi sir, I was very hopeful to even post this lecture, this session, to continue the collaboration, to continue the discussions and talks, and to understand that what exactly masters and PhD students are doing in blockchain, because this is such a new subject, this is such a new technology, and there are no set practices, there are no set tutorials, there are no set course structures, curriculum. And so it's just not like our everyday Java or C++ that you have been teaching that since the last 20 years, and you have 10 different books on that. And so it's lovely to see that UTP and the college has been doing so well in blockchain education, right? So honestly, yeah, that is my purpose today, to explore the use cases, the further prospects of research and all. Honestly, whenever I teach blockchain across universities or internationally in conferences, the audience that I have, they might be CEOs, they might be CTOs, but they are not PhDs. They are not students of masters, and or masters is still fine, but I have not seen PhD students in my audience. So I'm pretty sure that equivocally, I'm pretty sure that I'm not exactly very capable of teaching anything to who's already doing a PhD on blockchain. Maybe a sharing of dialogues and a discussion, open discussion. After I just share some use cases, maybe I would really look forward to an open discussion with all of you, and to understand that what problems are you are facing. I mean, I might not have all answers to all the questions, but I would love to hear, and maybe if I can, out of my last 3-4 years experience, maybe if I can say something on that. Out of your PhD and master's experience, you can suggest me that, okay, you are particularly facing this problem, but in my PhD I've already solved it. So these interactions would be very fruitful, I believe. So that would be my purpose today. At the end of the session, we should be able to explore a lot in blockchain amongst us. So with that, okay, just Hamza gave an introduction. I'm audible, right? Hamza, Rishi sir, I'm audible, right? I'm clear.
Yeah, Abhishek, you are audible. You can.
Also, I'll be very honest. Again, I have had, out of all the lectures I've taken, one feedback has always been there, and that is, and that essentially is, I speak at a huge speed, at a humongous speed. I cover stuff so fast that the audience is not many a times not able to understand. So this is a feedback that I already know. Whenever I've tried slowing myself down. Whenever you face that, please just let me know. Just ask me to pause. Just let me know. I will slow down. Definitely, please. I know this. If you feel the same, please let me know. All right. Okay. So I'll just go ahead. So basically, I'm a co-founder at a blockchain-based company, a platform, World. We facilitate B2B, B2C company. We facilitate warehouse receipt loans, and customers are banks and farmers and warehouses. I've been an ex-product owner at my account of policybazaar.com. Policybazaar is India's largest insurance web insurance aggregator. So that is somewhere I have led their service product, which had over 6.5 lakh customers, 15.5 lakh logins on average. And then I implemented Google Analytics across all their business units, and so on and so forth. As World, we are an IIM Ahmedabad startup. IIM Ahmedabad is India's topmost business school. And yeah, and all of this this Hamza has already introduced. So I would love to proceed from here. All right, perfect. So a bird's eye view, what blockchain is, right? This is not the general definition that you are used to seeing and that everyone speaks of. So just simply putting it out, a blockchain is just a simple ledger that's copy pasted. You wouldn't have heard about this word ever in the blockchain introductions, but I would like to call it that. It's a copy paste across multiple entities on a single blockchain network, right? And it is done so every time an action happens, right? That's the basic. Whoever is good into blockchain will also understand this. Whoever is not will definitely understand this, that it is just a copy paste of one ledger into different across different entities, nodes, full nodes, partial nodes, light nodes, and all those entities of a network, so that everyone in a network has the same copy. Everyone who's supposed to, for example, in Bitcoin network, we have different types of nodes. So every network is not supposed to have the entire blockchain copy. But whoever is supposed to have a copy of the blockchain will have an entire copy of the entire blockchain from start. The Genesis block, which is if I take these words, I know you must be knowing all these words very well. I'll just still give one-liners on all these new terms that I would speak of. Genesis block is the very first block in a blockchain, right? It does not have a hash from of the previous block, which every block in a blockchain has. That is an essential concept of the hash of the particular block, that hash contains the hash of the previous block. But the Genesis block does not have that. It has a hard-coded message in it. It is set up by the developer, and then from then on the blockchain starts. So yeah. So it is blockchain is just a copy paste of the entire blockchain from Genesis to the current block height, which is the latest block, across every node which is supposed to have a copy of the blockchain, right? So this is what blockchain is. For example, I'll just give an example. So for example, if I'm transferring 100 rupees to Rishi sir, and I want to do it via fiat, right? Fiat currency. I would tell Axis Bank that please deduct my account by 100 rupees and please add the same to Rishi sir's account. What Axis Bank will do, it will open its ledger, it will write in it, Abhishek transferred 100 rupees to Rishi sir. That's it. Now, tomorrow morning, anything can happen. One, Axis Bank can go rogue, right? Axis Bank or any bank, whichever bank you understand. So it might go rogue. It might say that I don't know that you transfer 100 rupees to, or you asked me to transfer 100 rupees to Rishi sir. Where will I go, right? I do not have any solution to avoid in that scenario. Another problem that can occur is that maybe over the night, I did the transaction today. Maybe over the night, one of a group of hackers just attack Axis Bank's ledgers and just rub off my transaction of 100 rupees to Rishi sir. Again, tomorrow morning, what will I do? That was one centralized server. Centralized servers are hacked every now and then. It could be Netflix's servers, it could be Axis's servers, it could be Google's servers, anything, right? So then my data is gone, my money is gone, because Rishi sir might say that no, I have not received 100 rupees, because he would know that my bank has forgotten that I had transferred 100 rupees to Rishi sir. Now he can perfectly well say that, oh, I have not received, even though he has 100 rupees in his account, right? Which he has obtained from me. So essentially that is where blockchain comes in. Basically, I know I might be going a bit into basics. I'll just cover it quickly. So that is where I believe that blockchain comes in. Blockchain keeps the same, that the one single ledger that Axis Bank kept, it keeps a copy of that one ledger across all the entities in a network. So hence, if anyone wants to attack or anyone wants to go rogue, just exactly the two features, the two characteristics that we just discussed about Axis Bank. If anyone wants to go rogue, blockchain, other nodes in the blockchain will say that, oh my God, you have a different ledger. We have a different, nine of us have a different ledger. You have a different ledger, right? So they would call it out that this particular node is trying to act smart, and it is trying to, it has become compromised, and we should take necessary steps. We could kick the node out. We could make sure that that particular node does not validate any other blocks in the blockchain. Any action could be taken once that call out has happened, right? Which in Axis Bank's case, no one can do. SBI cannot intervene and say that, no, I remember that Abhishek gave 100 rupees to Rishi sir, because that's not how it works, because SBI does not know that Axis Bank wrote a transaction like this in its ledger, right? So essentially, that's where blockchain comes in. That's where decentralization was needed in the first place. I usually discuss this first, that why was decentralization needed in the first place? Because people had started losing trust in centralized systems. They don't trust centralized systems like Google with their data of the life of their entire life anymore. They don't trust banks with their money anymore. They don't trust food security corporations with the traceability data anymore. So these are crucial problems that some people, some sectors of the population have started believing that no, we have to take things in our hand. And decentralization is the way to go, not centralization, because we cannot let our information and our life and our characteristics be only confined to one entity's hand, who is free to act on its own accord, right? So this is where I believe this decentralization came in, blockchain came in, though it started with one single most popular implementation of Bitcoin, which essentially is just a currency. But and then a lot of things happened. A lot of other cryptocurrencies, altcoins came into the picture. Then ICOs came, IEOs came, security offerings came. All these things happened, but at the crux of it was blockchain. Blockchain ensure that I provide you a trustless, immutable ledger technology, a decentralized distributed ledger technology. You use it the way you want. You use it for cryptocurrency, do it. You want to use it for agricultural benefits, agricultural financial instruments, do it. Don't involve a cryptocurrency, it's still fine, right? And that is what the governments have been really scared of, that crypto is not good for them, but blockchain is very essential for them. It's imperative for any government to not look into blockchain with a keen eye anymore in 2020, right? So that's it. So that's what blockchain is. It's just a copy paste of the one ledger across all the entities. However, since this is not a basics of blockchain class, I'll just skip over what it can be. What I believe, what a lot of people believe is that this is what blockchain is, but the future of blockchain lies in achieving something like 1,000 transactions per second, at least to start with. It can go up, it can be a bit down, but to start with an average of 1,000 transactions per second, right? Why is this needed? We'll see it in the upcoming slides, but this is something I would just give you an overview for those who do not have an idea of the transaction speed that blockchain or any common implementation of blockchain has. It is way beyond. It is way lower than this. I mean, 1,000 is something that maybe blockchain is miles away from achieving as of date. As of date. Um, yeah. Is anyone saying something? Is there a problem? All okay? If there's any problem, just let me know. I'll pause and I'll address the issue. Yeah. Okay, great. Mr. Murugan, can I please request you to maybe mute yourself, because the voice is coming out of my speaker as well. It is creating a bit of disturbance. Then maybe we can unmute ourselves when we have questions. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Great. Okay. A lot of voices coming. Hamza, can you just request Mr. Murugan to maybe mute his at his end, because I'm losing track. Yeah, thank you so much. I see it. Thanks a lot. Great. Okay, 1 second. Okay, great. So all right, so that's where we believe that blockchain lies, miles away from reaching something like yeah. So okay, I'll take questions at the end. I think someone has written in the chat. I'll just get back to it. Yes, I'll just get back to it. Yes, blockchain is the platform which brings cryptocurrencies into play. Exactly. One implementation, definitely one of the most popular implementations. In fact, blockchain came into existence with the first implementation of Bitcoin. Blockchain did not exist before that, because before that, when digital currencies were there, it was plain and simple digital currency. There was no decentralization in it. But blockchain and Bitcoin hand in hand brought that concept of decentralization into the world, and Bitcoin became the first implementation of blockchain. Also one of the most popular implementations. And back in December 17th, 2017, Bitcoin was at its highest price. It was 19,500 or 600 US dollars one Bitcoin. That is humongous. Coming from a time back in 2012. I don't know if you guys have heard this story. This is very famous. Someone paid 10,000 Bitcoins to buy 2 pizzas. You can just go to Domino's and buy 2 pizzas for, if I'm talking about Indian rupees, you can just do it for 1,500 Indian rupees. That's nothing. 10,000 Bitcoins in Indian rupees right now. I would know in your currency, but in Indian rupees right now would be easily more than 5,500 crores. I don't know if it's 5,500 crores or 5,500 crores, but it is more. It is more than 500 crores. You've spent 500 crores to buy 2 pizzas, which you get at I don't know, a fraction of that cost. So that is a huge and long journey that blockchain and Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have come in. Then in India, Supreme Court has imposed so many regulations. It closed down, banks closed providing support for cryptos, exchanges got shut down, companies got closed. People went to jails. People went to jail. I have very personal anecdotes to share that someone very close had been into a lot of trouble because of cryptocurrencies. And so essentially a lot has happened, and blockchain and cryptocurrency as technology as well as implementations have come a long way. But surely that is something to be discussed forever, I think. So all right, we'll go ahead. All right, so let's do a quick comparison of transactions per second, the throughput that we expect from any network. So let's talk about 3 different networks that are of interest for us in this session. The first one, let's talk about Visa. Visa, we all know. Visa, MasterCard, we all know. Two different entities, same parent. And Visa Net is something that everyone uses. I mean, every shop, every website, almost every other shop, every other website, every other individual trader, anyone. Most of them use Visa Net, and the rest of them use MasterCard. Both belong to the same parent company, as I believe I read about it. So Visa in today's date has achieved up to a highest of 1,736 transactions per second, and they promise that they can easily go up to 56,000 transactions per second. Can you just imagine? That would mean going over 50 times than what it is handling now, which would mean why 1736 transactions per second. This calculation has come from handling 150 million transactions a day. So that's when divided by 24 and 30 and 30. That's where it came to 1736 transactions per second. So 50 times increasing would mean that the world transactions for Visa network across the entire world would grow from 150 to 50 times more than that, right? So that is a huge future and a huge promise and a guarantee that Visa is doing. So if they're doing that kind of a promise, it is safe to say that even for the next maybe 10 years to come, Visa is safe. Visa is safe, even if they cannot achieve 56,000 transactions per second, which they promise. Even if they achieve a third of that, right, or even if they achieve a half of that, right, which is something they can easily do if they're promising 56,000. Even that would, I guess, mean years to come, because at this point in time, when digital inclusion, financial inclusion using digital payments has taken such mainstream, but still, if you're doing up to 1736 transactions per second a day, or 150 million transactions a day across the Visa net, across the globe, all countries combined, then I think it has a very bright future. It is going to not going to face any problems in the near future to come. However, strikingly, Bitcoin is being used. Bitcoin has such a huge market cap. I'm forgetting the number. I'll have to calculate. You can just go and check. Bitcoin has such a huge market cap right now. Of course, not really relatable to what Visa has, but but Bitcoin has such billions of dollars in market cap and trade. But it is at 4.6 transactions per second on average, maximum up to 7 transactions per second. 1,736 transactions per second, 7 transactions per second, or 4.6 transactions per second. This is something serious. This is, I believe, my personal belief, is something serious. Another very popular blockchain network, Ethereum. Ethereum has achieved 15 transactions per second, and that's it, with the current block time of 10 to 19 seconds. That varies. Sometimes the block time becomes 30 seconds. Sometimes the block time is 10 seconds. So it's an average of 15 transactions per second, and based on the block time of 10 to 19 seconds over a minute. So that is Ethereum. Again, 1736, 15. None of the blockchain networks at the moment are anywhere close to what Visa is providing. However, we'll come to another concept, that why this is a very ironical thing. That is because this is a further harder challenge to solve. Because now currently on this slide, you're just comparing the transactions per second. But after this, we will be comparing the nature of the transactions that these networks have to do, and then you'll understand, and we'll explore. We'll understand that why Bitcoin and Ethereum are further behind, because of the different use cases that they serve. We'll just take a look at it. So any day, it's safe to say that any day Visa has over 380 times worth of throughput than what Bitcoin has, any single day, any single minute, any single second, right? So this is a very bleak future if we are talking about using blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies and altcoins making them capable of transactions, making them capable of digital payments or short money transfers, quick money transfers, toffee-sized money transfers. You cannot just you want to transfer 10 rupees, 20 rupees, Indian rupees, and you want to wait for 10 minutes. I mean, that is not going to happen, because Paytm gives that opportunity to you within a second. You transfer 20,000 rupees or you transfer 20 rupees. It's a second, right? It's less than a second that Paytm helps you transfer money between two entities. I think I pretty much believe that there must be such brilliant digital service providers in your country as well, Malaysia. So yeah, essentially that is where we are. So any day, it's safe to say that Visa is way ahead than what these blockchain networks are. Right? Okay, so what does this mean? Let's just take a look at this comparison we did. Let us just quickly put it into context. Let us do an analogy and let us see that what does it mean exactly. You get up in the morning, you leave for office, In the way you visit a coffee shop, you order your coffee with Visa. Someone standing in front of your line with Visa, that is 1 second. You just put in the card, or with Visa tap to pay, you just tap the card, it's done. If it's $2 worth of coffee, you just tap it, $2 worth of money deducted from your account instantaneously, right? Without PIN, without anything, instantaneously. The transaction is processed immediately, like immediately. So that is somewhere where I believe that Visa is very useful. A Mastercard is very useful, because with these technologies you don't have to even reach out for your wallet, right? It is right there, and sometimes you just keep your card on the back of your phone, and that's it. You're already using your phone, and you do it, and the transaction is processed within a second. That is huge power, right? And then you go, you collect your coffee, next. That's it. This is power. But if you go to a coffee shop with a Bitcoin wallet in your hand, and then you order a coffee, and then you expect to pay via Bitcoins, right? That is exactly where you will initiate the payment. The systems are in place. You will initiate the payment. You stand back, and then you'll wait. Now you might have to wait from anything between 10 minutes to 40 minutes to 1 hour, anything. Or sometimes if the Bitcoin network is choked, it could be a couple of hours. Now you are really unsure that how much should I wait? If it's just 10 minutes, let me know. I'm ready to wait for 10 minutes. I'll just sit there. I'll just type an email. Until then, 10 minutes will occur. I'll just come and collect my coffee. You just let me know, okay, green signal, after 10 minutes or 12 minutes, your transaction was processed. That's fine. But nobody knows that. Neither the store does, nor do you. That is it going to be 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 50 minutes, 1 hour, anything. I mean, this is really very problematic if in today's world, right? Because digital payments are supposed to be fast. I mean, you'll pay cash. You won't pay digital payments if they're not fast, right? Or if they're not efficient, or if they're not quick, processed quickly, if they're not safe, they're not secure, and they're not efficient, right? Essentially. So this is an analogy that will happen if you currently use any of the blockchain networks, popular blockchain networks. I'm not talking about private networks, which are very fast on transaction speed, because they essentially trade off decentralization for achieving that transaction speed. Okay, so one concept that I've just stumbled on is that the different types of blockchain. I believe that you guys are pretty much aware of that. But public blockchain is we believe that public blockchain is one of the most or one of the best shapes that a blockchain can have, because that's essentially what a blockchain is: keeping the power in the hands of public, in the hands of more than 10 people, more than 5 people, more than one entity, the validation and the record keeping and the consensus into a network, right? But essentially for private networks, what they do is they have lesser number of nodes. They can really quickly process transactions, even though that is pretty slow till now, but they are catching up, and they can easily catch up because they are trading off decentralization for achieving things like faster transactions, more number of transactions per block, shorter and smaller transaction sizes, block sizes, right? These are the things that they can do because they are trading off decentralization. They do not have to propagate those blocks across a network of 20,000, 30,000 nodes, right? Currently, Bitcoin, as far as I remember, last I read, Bitcoin has over 10,000 full nodes. These 10,000 full nodes will have to have a copy of the entire blockchain at all times, and after every step. That is what I said, that when I was on this slide, that it's essentially a copy paste across all the entities in a network, which are supposed to keep a copy. So that is what Bitcoin and that is what Bitcoin network is all about. Over 10,000 nodes across the world. You have to spread it, you have to copy paste, and you have to send it, convey the current blockchain state to all those essentially to all those all those nodes in the network. So this is not something that private networks have to do, so they can go very fast, but that is not, again, not decentralization in its truest sense, right? All right, so okay, nothing in the chat. I'll just go ahead. All right. So with that in mind, we just discussed that what kind of problems we face here. So with that in mind, I'll just analyze some thoughts together. I'll do this, and then we'll come to maybe some questions here. So some analyzing thoughts. This is what I was talking about in my earlier slides, that there is a stark difference between what between essentially what we see in networks such as Visa, and then what we are expecting from networks such as Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe IOTA and maybe Monero, Dashcoin, all of these networks, what our expectations are and what the reality is, this has vast differences. This has stark and striking differences, right? Like what kind? Let us take a look. One critical thought is that Visa, please listen to it very, very, very carefully, because I know this is all you might be knowing, but this is an important concept. Visa just has to process payment transactions, right? Visa has to do nothing. Visa's role is to process payment transactions. That's it. 1:1 payments. I go, I pay to a coffee shop. I go and pay to Domino's Pizza. That's what I do. That's all, right? And or maybe Amazon is processing some refunds or anything like that. You are using VisaNet to just process payments, nothing like that. In the Visa's network, in Visa's world, this entire globe that Visa is set up, it is a transaction just means transfer of money. It could be any kind of it could be any amount of money, but it is just in the shape of a money. It could be international currencies. It could be US to USD to EUR. It could be INR to euros, INR to maybe China yuan. It could be anything, but that is essentially what it is. Nothing more than that. However, what does Bitcoin have to do when a transaction is concerned? It is not 1:1. It is the transfer is 1:1, but the record keeping is not 1:1, which in Visa's case, it is 1:1. It just notifies the nodal account, the bank's nodal account, or the payment gateway's nodal account, and that's it. That's done. 1:1 processed payment done. But Bitcoin has to tell the same thing, that Abhishek transferred 100 Bitcoins to Rishi sir to 10,000 different full nodes and maybe a 15,000 different light nodes, maybe some super nodes. All of these things Bitcoin's network has to do. And you understand that even transferring a torrent file, downloading a file over torrent. So just digressing a bit, a torrent is exactly the concept that blockchain is very similar to, right? It is kind of very similar to the technology of peer-to-peer networking, right? With what torrent uses as well. What is torrent? Rishi sir has a file. I want that file too. So in the network knows that Rishi has a file, Rishi sir has a file. What the network will do is, if I want to download, network will do is, it'll ask for the file from Rishi sir and it'll give it to me. Now the network would know that now Abhishek and Rishi sir both have the copies of the same file, right? So now both of us can serve the same file. Serve is the keyword here. Both of us can serve the same file to the network, and anyone else can download, and that's propagated that way. Anyone third party downloads, the third person downloads. Now they'll start serving it as well. That is what seeding is, right? Which people just avoid. So essentially, that is what Bitcoin is all about. Bitcoin has to, but we understand that that Bitcoin has to, like any network, in any computer network over the internet. If you are just transferring one file, it can take a lot of time based on depending on the bandwidth at both the ends, depending on the bandwidth at the routers in between, and all the channels and all the links that that particular file goes through. Right? You're sending one file from here to maybe California. There's a lot of hops that you need to go through. Right? In internet, we see it happening very fast, but it takes time. It takes considerable time. Now, when you have to do that same thing across 10,000 different nodes, 15,000 more nodes, and then maybe 2,500, 3,000 more different types of nodes spread across the globe, this is a challenge. We might not face it, see it as a challenge, but this, if you think of it, this essentially resorts to a challenge, right? Because networks are not that capable. Every network is not 5G. Every network is not 4G. There might come a network in between, which is still running on 3G, right? So this is essentially where we see a problem when Bitcoin has to tell the same transaction to maybe thousands of different nodes, right? And these are ledgers. We have to be written to the ledgers, right? All right. Another critical thought is that now we saw Visa just processing payments. Bitcoin is still just processing payments. So at least one common thing between Visa and Bitcoin is that they are processing payments, right? At least this is one common thing. The circumstances, the situations, and the scenarios are pretty different because Bitcoin has to do a lot of more work as compared to what Visa network has to do. But okay, at least they are talking about payments. When it comes to a network like Ethereum, what Ethereum does is it has to support payments as well as substantial data exchange via smart contracts. So since Ethereum is a generation 2 blockchain, so you must already be knowing about various generations of blockchain. So it started with Bitcoin as the first generation, then Ethereum as the second generation, then there are third and fourth generations where you include more and more capabilities. You include side chains, you include cross-chain transactions and all of that stuff, which is not possible in Bitcoin nor in Ethereum, neither of any of the second generation blockchains. Such concepts have started to come up in third and fourth generation blockchains, right? But being a second generation blockchain, Ethereum provides more than currency. It's more than it's about more than Ether, right? It's about Ether. So that part is consistent across Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Visa. All of them have to basically are have to having to deal with payments, peer-to-peer payments. But in addition to that, Ethereum has to specifically take note of the transactions between in terms of data, rich data, right? Exchange between peer-to-peer, exchange between different peers, right? And this is a smart contract, which is a piece of programmable code running on its network. And then there would come in a concept called Oracle, which would give outsider information to a smart contract, based on which that smart contract will run, and essentially provide some output. So this is an entire system. This is an Ethereum virtual machine running, churning code, and then giving out running smart contract based on certain triggers, and then giving out a result, or doing a transaction. And anything on this network is called a transaction. You cannot distinguish. If you just say that, okay, a transaction happened on Ethereum, you just cannot say that, okay, 2 ethers were transferred between point A to point B, or Alice and Bob, right? You cannot say that, because Ethereum provides so much more than just ether, than just cryptocurrency transfers, because a transaction could be weather data that your app is downloading from an oracle, and writing it onto the Ethereum blockchain, right? So this is a transaction. Anything like this, anything happening on the Ethereum network or any such network, is a transaction in blockchain's terms, right? This is worrying, right? This is really worrying, because from Visa, we have come to a network which handles so much more at such a low and such a drastic fall in transaction speed, right? The throughput. This is worrying. I believe you guys would be on the same page with me, because this is concerning. And believe me, since the time I've been in blockchain, I've always heard throughput has been a problem of blockchain networks since forever. People have not been able to solve it. People have come up with solutions. I don't know if I've covered them on the here. No, I have not covered them on the slide, but I'll take a moment to discuss a couple of those initiatives that these networks have taken. Essentially, so any questions till now, or any interruptions till now that you want to do, to suggest something? I'm going fast, I'm not doing well. Anything that you want to suggest? Hamza, Rishi sir, any of you can speak up maybe, and just let me know that if there's any problem you're facing.
It's okay, go on.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I believe this is still being useful to all of you, right? Okay. All right, so I do not have the slide for that, but I'll just since we are in the flow of discussing, and I guess we have time. It's 12:18 p.m. here, so we have time. So I essentially would want to talk about the various arrangements that these networks have come up with to deal somewhat the scalability issue. Okay, so everyone has to call it a scalability issue, because it's all about scaling a Bitcoin from a few transactions a second to maybe a big number, a bigger number, right? The Bitcoin network has come up with something called Lightning Network, which last I read, it was the development. It is live, but a lot of nodes still are not on the Lightning Network. So it is not every other transaction on the Bitcoin network that you see happen via Lightning Network. That stage has not reached. If I just visit Bitcoin's Explorer, I would see that the block time is still, sadly, the block time is still, even after implementation of the Lightning Network, the block time is still about 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, or around about that number. So, but like they came up with Lightning Network. What Lightning Network does is a 2-minute description. I guess some of you might already be knowing. So, so what it does is, it just does its transaction of the chain. It does not involve the nitty-gritty of the transaction or every transaction on the chain, and this way it provides congestion on the main Bitcoin network, right? How it does that is that while creating, so two different peers create or two different nodes create a bi-directional payment channel amongst them. What this channel does is first takes an output from the Bitcoin network, where the Bitcoin network says that, okay, point A, or the peer A, or Alice has currently available to spend 10 Bitcoins, right? That is where the timestamp is this, and this date on this timestamp, Alice, the network is saying that yes, Alice has 10 bitcoins to spend. Now they create using that 10 bitcoin as an output. Alice creates a network, bidirectional network with another, maybe with McDonald's, right, or maybe with Starbucks, right. A good example to take Starbucks because they're working a lot on CBDC and stuff. We'll come on that later. I don't know if I've included the slide, but a very important concept of a central bank digital currency. And anyways, so you create a bidirectional channel between Alice and Starbucks, right? All right. Okay. So I have two questions. Could you please? I'll take both of these questions right after this explanation that I'm doing for sure. I have two questions. I see. So all right. So yeah. So I was on Lightning Network. So that's what Lightning Network is all about. You create a bidirectional channel. You take an output. You say that on this time and date I had 10 bitcoins to spend. Now what happens is that you do these transactions maybe over a month long. You can do this transaction between Starbucks. You take 10 different coffee orders on 10 different days. At the end of the month or at the end of the set period, you just tell the network back. You both tell the network back. This is a very trying to explain it in a very layman concept. There are technicalities involved, of course. You just tell the network back that out of those 10 bitcoins, I transfer 2 bitcoins to Starbucks. That's it. Record it again. Next time I want to use another channel on Lightning Network, I'll just take another output, which will tell me that I have an output of 8 bitcoins remaining, right? Then again a bidirectional channel, and then using money from that bitcoins from that output of 8 bitcoins. So that is essentially where the Lightning Network works, and how it helps is that a lot of transaction data did not have to go to and fro between the main blockchain and Bitcoin network. So that is why the Bitcoin network was less congested, and since it did not have to be propagated across the entire Bitcoin network, the Lightning Network gave lightning fast. That's why the name. It gave lightning fast confirmation for your transactions, right? This was one approach, but we are still not seeing a lot of usage for this particular technology advancement. Apart from that, I believe I remember there were a couple of concepts by Ethereum as well. One, Ethereum was doing that, it was doing a layer 2 mechanism, something like that, where Ethereum was not similar concept, where Ethereum I guess was not telling the main blockchain network all the data that it needs to see at a time regarding a transaction, but only the critical data that needs to be transferred on the network, which is hardly out of maybe, say for example 300 bytes, maybe 30 bytes is what the actual transaction data is. So just transfer that data. No, why to transfer 380 bytes or 300 bytes every time I'm doing a transaction? So that is how. So now if you're doing 10 transactions, what you'll do is you'll use that. If only you are doing 10 transactions, you cannot combine 10 transactions from 10 different people. If you are doing 10 transactions to 10 different people, then what you can do is, because your basic information is same, so that 300 bytes of data stays constant, and those 30 bytes get increased, get added to the entire request, to the entire transaction header, which says that these are the 10 different transactions that I need to do but the main data, main transaction data, main block, data that goes into the block, that remains the same for all the transactions because I am doing it, right? So why make it 320, 320, 320, 320? Just take 320, 20, 20 blocks of 10 different transactions. I hope this was clear. So this is something they did. So these, okay. Another very good concept. I would I'm not put it on the PPT, but it came to me. There's something called blocks route, or a blocks route, right? Just look for it. It's called blocks, BLOX route, ROUTE. What they do is, all right, in today's the main internet that we use, a very revolutionary concept was the coming up of CDNs, right? Content delivery networks. What were they? They were global networks situated at varied places in the globe. And what they did was they simply served a copy of the internet, or a copy of certain pages or certain websites of the internet at their end as well in that location. So what happened? Why was it revolutionary? So for example, if I'm a website that's hosted in a big rock server in India, and someone from California wants to access that, right? Now, once it will definitely request the data from my big rock servers, which are in Chennai, maybe, right, in India, or maybe in New Delhi, right? But what the CDN will do is will keep for the next time will keep a copy of it at its end, and maybe the CDN is situated beside California, right? So from next time, if the California visitor again wants to visit my site, it won't request all over the globe for information from my server sitting in New Delhi. What it will do is it will request for the information for my website. The CDN network will judge that, okay, this request is coming from California, and I being a CDN situated near California, have the copy of Abhishek's website. So let me serve it for you, so that the customer does not have to go all the way and does not have to jam, does not have to congest the entire internet. Rather, let me serve it. In return, I'll earn, right? So this is what CDNs are all about. Now, what Bloxroot is doing is they are bringing this brilliant concept into blockchain. They are building blockchain delivery networks. I mean, I guess this is fundamentally very important and a fundamentally very inspiring concept, because CDNs worked, Akamai works, Cloudflare works. I believe in the last 10 years, whichever website I've built, I made sure to include Cloudflare support into that. So that is how CDNs worked in the real life, right? In internet, right? Similarly, what blockchain delivery networks will do is that instead of they are trying to solve this very core problem of Bitcoin, or such any kind of blockchain, where maybe there are thousands and thousands of full nodes which have to have a copy of the Bitcoin entire blockchain, right? And they are situated across the globe. What these blockchain networks, delivery networks will do is that they will keep a updated copy of that blockchain, and whoever is near to whichever full node is near to that location, they will serve it to them, rather than one single blockchain node, or maybe a group of nodes propagating this information across the entire world, taking the responsibility of doing this across the world. Blockchain delivery networks will distribute it, and will distribute the responsibility, and then dispatch the information to the nearby full nodes, right? This way, they are believing that a lot of congestion and a lot of help could be provided, efficiency could be provided to any kind of blockchain network, especially networks like Bitcoin, where this is a problem. And essentially, this is a very futuristic concept. This thing is still in development, but and what Bloxroot promises is that they do not have to ask you to change anything in your code, right? They are affecting the layer below your blockchain network, which is the network they are affecting. They're just changing the dynamics of the network, not your blockchain. So hence you have to change nothing in the blockchain, right? And then what they're doing is they are platform agnostic. They have nothing to do whether you're a Bitcoin blockchain, whether you're IOTA, your Ethereum, your world blockchain, your anything. They have nothing to do with that. They are providing a solution, underlying solution. You just take your blockchain, put it on us, and then propagate it across the world. We have to, you don't even have to know what blocks you are receiving, what transactions are in that block. So even if you are having a permission or a private network, you can set it up on Bloxroot, because they will not get to know what blocks are being formed, what data is being transferred, right? So this is something that Bloxroot is. That was a concept I really wanted to discuss. I'll just move ahead. I don't think we have a lot of time. So yeah. So essentially that is. Let's move on. Okay. Before moving on, I have two questions here. So one is, what is the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum, asked by Dr. Sadaf. So, Dr. Sadaf, I would say that the critical difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum is that one is a generation 1 blockchain, which is Bitcoin, and one is a generation 2 blockchain, which is Ethereum. What difference happened when the world came from the Gen 1 to Gen 2 is essentially Bitcoin was just a means of transacting payments, right? Transacting currency. That's it. You can just send and receive Bitcoins on the Bitcoin network. You can do nothing else, right? On the Ethereum network, you can do a whole lot of other things. That's why Ethereum was so much popular, has been so much popular, because Ethereum brought in a new world or a new concept to blockchains, because now blockchains could be used across different sectors, without the need for including payments into it, right? Now you can use it in agriculture, you can use it in finance, you can use it in insurance, you can use it in supply chain, where a lot of the actions will be demonstrated by smart contracts, right? What are smart contracts? Smart contracts, I just take a line on this. Smart contracts are programmable contracts which run on a blockchain network. But now once you deploy a smart contract on a network, you can do nothing after that. That will run. Whenever a trigger condition is met, whichever you've set, if that trigger condition is met, it will run, right? Now, and that is why using smart contracts, a lot of brands and a lot of organizations are trying to make users believe in them, because they are seeing. So for example, I'll just give a personal anecdote that when I was at a blockchain company working as a product manager at a blockchain company, we were having discussions with one of the leading a leading aircraft carrier in India, right? What they wanted to do was they wanted to bring in-flight insurance on blockchain. What it meant was, if you buy, so you go on a website and before buying a flight ticket, you see that pay INR 249 to avail this insurance. Otherwise, these things might happen. So what happens is that if it will have written, if you opt for this, anything that happens after you opt for this, it will not be canceling it or approving it will not be in our hands. It will automatically happen. So people will start generating trust, will start gaining trust that, okay, let me buy this, because what they're saying is that the moment, if it is written in the smart contract that to pay the insurer a sum of so and so, if the flight is delayed by 15 minutes, so whenever the delay of 15 minutes happens and the smart contract gets the public data that 15-minute flight has been delayed by 15 minutes, it will automatically run and it will automatically dispatch the insured amount to the insured person. So this way, the aircraft carrier will have no say in it. So what people face is that a lot of aircraft carriers say that, okay, you had this insurance, but it was for 8 hours of delay, not 4 hours of delay, and all of these things come in. But if it's on a smart contract, the aircraft carrier cannot stop it. It will have to honor the smart contract. It has no choice because all of it is run on a blockchain network. And as you all know, anything that goes on a blockchain network stays there forever. You cannot erase it. You can do nothing with it, right? And that is why it becomes all the more important to make sure that when you publish smart contracts on on a blockchain network, you be ultra careful about it. It's not just like making a web page live, which we do using HTML and CSS. What you can do is, if things are not working, just go back to the terminal, edit the file, and again push it to the server. Again, do the same thing again and again. You cannot do this on in the case of smart contracts, because once that's done, it's done. Plus, to deploy smart contracts, you need money, right? You need to spend gas on the Ethereum network, which costs you real money. So you cannot really. That's why smart contract auditing, which I've covered in a great detail in my book, is one of the one of the most important areas in blockchain and blockchain security, right? So that was one question. Could you please explain? So I got a question. Could you please explain critical thought 3? Right. Critical thought 3 was exactly what I just explained to Dr. Sadda, is that critical thought 3 is essentially, so why critical thought 3 is because we first compared Visa and then Bitcoin. Visa and Bitcoin were two different networks, but they only have to deal with payments. What this thought particularly deals with or is concerned about is that Ethereum, on the other hand, being a network of the same stature, it has to handle a lot more than just payments. It just has to handle a lot more than just ethers transacting over between two peers, right? It has to take care of smart contracts, as I just explained. So that's because everything is a transaction. Now, if you're talking about Ethereum as 15 transactions per second, it means everything. One transfer of one ether to another, one ether from me to Rishi sir, maybe it could be running of a smart contract on a particular use case. It could be anything. All of this constitute to a transaction on Ethereum. Hence, Ethereum, if it's doing 15 transactions per second, but if it has to cater to maybe 10 different categories of transactions, it is very important that it does not stay at 15 transactions per second. It has to come up to make it practical to be used in everyday life, to make it practical to be taking it on a phone as a wallet and taking it to your coffee shop and then waiting for the transaction to happen, to make it practical, right? So this is the thought that was there. So I hope I have been adequately able to answer that. So moving ahead, all right. All right. Okay. So let's quickly discuss. There's not a lot remaining. So let's quickly discuss the first use case that I wanted to share with you. Very short. Just discussing that what the use cases are. All right. So since we are almost nearing the end of this session, we are almost 70% done. So let us discuss a couple of three use cases. Basically, what people are using blockchain for across the globe, and with or without using a cryptocurrency in between. So people start thinking that blockchain is all about cryptocurrency. It's all about Bitcoin and crypto and ICO. No, it is not. A lot of people are using blockchain into very novel solutions, building very good solutions, which have become very popular or are being used by big corporates, right? So one such use case is by IBM. So IBM is using blockchain and IoT, where they go hand in hand to protect a consumer's trust in the food you eat, in the food you consume, in the traceability of the food that arrives at your doorstep, right? What it is doing, currently it is a leader in bringing blockchain to life in its supply chain management. So IBM with its Food Trust, I guess the name of the blockchain is Food Trust. Yeah, food trust might be. So food trust blockchain, it is using it to bring supply chain management in, to streamline SCM, supply chain management, into its best form, right? So that a user particularly knows that what is it that you are transacting, what is it that where is the food coming from, where is it grown, where is it cultivated, where is it traded, between what different entities is it traded, when was it stored in warehouse, when did it come out of warehouse, when did it went to a factory and got processed into a packaged food, and then when it got delivered to my house. This entire traceability should be available to the consumer, because the consumer has a right to know that what he is eating, where is it even coming from, right? So this is a very interesting use case that IBM has been doing, and they are using cognitive analytics, IoT, essentially IoT. IoT and blockchain, I've seen that have been going hand in hand across a lot of sectors, because blockchain cannot hear and listen to the and see the outside world. IoT can do that for blockchain. So when they come together, there are huge applications that are coming up, right? So this is one application use case that we I would want to discuss, and we can discuss after this call. Um, all right, then another use case is insurance using blockchain. So I was very fascinated with insurance using blockchain. Why? Because I spent 1 year in policybazaar.com, which is India's largest insurance aggregator, but we did not use a cent of blockchain. So because I was in blockchain, so I always wanted to check that what I'm doing and what Policybazaar is doing, can it be done on blockchain? How can it benefit Policybazaar and all that? So insurance in blockchain is being done by a lot of companies are doing research into it. Accenture is doing it very brilliantly. That's why we included it. So so Accenture says that insurers can unlock trapped value in the entire network, blockchain network, right? It can use the blockchain network to ensure that the value is extracted from the insurers, from the insured people, insured vehicles, insured factories, and all these things can be brought on the blockchain network, liberated in a sense, and make sure that the process is streamlined, the process is seamless, right? So that even the customer does not face a problem while getting the insured insured amount, and neither the insurance company faces a problem of frauds, regular frauds, right? So again, Accenture is using IoT, sensors, trust, oracles, and then blockchain in helping reduce complexity in this very complex insurance process, which I know because I've been into insurance. So it is a very complex process. A lot of frauds are happening. A lot of overheads goes in just managing this very process, so that the process is streamlined, right? From raising an insurance claim request to gaining the insurance money, everything. So this is what they are doing, what it is doing, right? And analysis has showed a striking 99 million to 277 million dollars of savings annually in just the personal auto insurance industry over maybe the next 3 years. 3 years is nothing in terms of insurance, because when you're insuring someone, you're doing it maybe for a lifetime, right? A term insurance is for lifetime. So that's a car insurance for a year, a motor insurance is for a year, right? So when you're an insurance company is insuring someone or something, you're anyways doing it for years. So if just right after 3 years or within the next 3 years, you're seeing a savings of from $99 million to $277 million, that's a $250 million. Anyone, I believe, that would want to look into blockchain, use of blockchain and IoT and sensors and all of that process, all of those technologies to streamline this insurance delivery process. I think this is one of the biggest use cases that are available till now. And being in insurance, I personally believe that there are a lot of complexities, a lot of frauds, a lot of things happening. All of that can be solved using blockchain and smart contracts and IoT, I believe, right? All right, great. So I would be happiest to share this very use case with you guys. So we are talking about the third use case, and I think this is the last use case that I have. And I have some time to discuss this, as I see. So it's all about blockchain in agriculture. Now across the globe, a lot of companies are innovating on using blockchain in agriculture, because essentially agriculture forms a very important part of a country's economy, right? Across any country across the globe, right? Because now in that scenario, you would want this your processes concerning agriculture to be seamless, so that the yield is good, so that the performance is good, irrigation gives you good yield, the good using good manure gives you good yield, your prices of selling into the mandis and the markets is good. Everything in terms of agriculture should be so seamless that farmers, which happen across annually, a lot of farmers commit suicides because they are just not earning enough, right? So this thing should not happen because they are providing a huge support to the economy. When they're doing that, what they should get in return is a seamless architecture, is a seamless process that can help them sustain and help them deliver their goods, their harvest across to the end user, end customers, spotless, fraud free, right? So this is something that we are working on. So that is why I was telling that I'm happiest to share this particular use case of blockchain, where I'm talking about using blockchain and then IoT to eradicate millions in frauds that happen in this particular sector of warehouse receipt financing. What warehouse receipt financing is, I'll just take 2 minutes. I see that I have ample time remaining. So I what WHF finance is basically using blockchain. What WHF finance is basically when a farmer harvests out of one season, the prices for his produce is very low at the beginning. Everyone knows this. So he does not want to sell it to the market at that moment. So but what happens? But he has to sell, right? He has to sell, or he needs some money as working capital to get his daughter married, to give his son a new bike, or maybe such household requirements, or maybe to invest into the next cropping season, right? So what happens is that he needs working capital, but then he does not want to sell it at such low prices because he knows that this thing, same produce, will be earning him much more after some time as the season goes by, right? So what he does is he can take that and deposit it into a warehouse. Then the warehouse will give a receipt that, okay, you've deposited 1,000 quintals of rice with me, this grade, this quality, this grade, this amount, everything, and then it will give a receipt. The farmer or the trader now can take that receipt and go to the bank and say that, okay, I have these goods deposited in a warehouse. Please take this receipt as a collateral and give me a loan against it. Usually in this sector, bank usually gives up to 70% of the entire valuation as loan, right? If it's a 4 lakh INR, if it's a 4 million INR receipt, you might get up to 3 million INR easily as loan for working capital, and which has a repayment period of 3 months, right? And what happens is, what problem we saw is that the core problem of blockchain system, the core problem of initial blockchain systems, and in general, what blockchain system removes is of double spending, right? This is one of the core problems that blockchain is able to attack, right? So what was happening, we saw that a farmer takes that same receipt to one bank, say ICICI Bank, and asks for a loan of 3 million INR. He takes that receipt and goes to another bank, say Axis Bank, and takes a loan against it again. So now this is a classic case of multiple spending, right? And now both the banks think that, okay, they have collateral worth INR 4 million, but they don't. Only either of the banks does have that collateral, right? So now what happens is that this is where you can see that I've written 3 billion in Qingdao scandal. Qingdao's port scandal in China, I guess, was worth $3 billion. That was in 2014-13, and popular banks like Citibank lost millions and millions in fraud in that particular event, that particular scandal. Then just back a few years back in India, there was this NSCL scam worth 5,600 crores, humongous numbers. I mean, these it takes a huge time for the economy to come out of these any of these scams, right? Be it across any sector. So this is what was happening. So what we did was we built a blockchain network. We built a blockchain system using Quorum, a JP Morgan fork of the Ethereum blockchain. We use Quorum technology. So we used Quorum, and then we implemented this entire warehouse receipt financing system on blockchain. We created product suites for bank, for warehouses, for the customer, and then this warehouse receipt is generated on blockchain. That is from where the blockchain starts in our system. The farmer is not on blockchain. To be sure about that first. The farmer is off the chain. The warehouse receipt from where the fraud began, that is generated on blockchain. So now when that particular warehouse receipt, a farmer just takes and goes to a bank, and the bank has to provide loan against a warehouse receipt, against a blockchain-based warehouse receipt, it will know that whether that particular receipt already has a lien attached to it or not, whether a loan is already going on that receipt or not, and that's it. That's it. Out of 10 cases, we've eradicated all 10 cases. It's not a good for scenario that, okay, with this technology, maybe 7 cases were frauds, now only 2 cases will be frauds. So no, it has to stop entirely. Blockchain is 0 or 1 when it comes to fraud, right? It can either protect fraud or it cannot. right? It cannot be in the middle. So we are eradicating frauds for banks essentially. That is why our main customers are banks and NBFCs and other lenders. We are eradicating this fraud in warehouse receipt financing, and also we are providing them with a huge network of farmers as an added benefit, right? And we have started with this blockchain. Second, we will be doing the next. What next we will be doing is we'll go into IoT. As I said, that we'll be using IoT because everything a blockchain cannot do. What happens if just goods just go away out of the warehouse? What will we do using blockchain? Right? That's a kind of illusion that blockchain can't provide, can't stop. So then we will be using IoT, and then when these go hand in hand, as we can see in across every other use case, blockchain and IoT and cloud computing have huge futures, have huge possibilities, have huge scope, and that is what we are going to use as well. So just a quick roundup of what we have done till now. This is not an advertisement slide. I included it because I do not include this on my lectures, but I here included it because we were looking at 3 cases, and I felt that after IBM and Accenture, I felt that this is a case I would want to discuss because we are doing good in this case. We are getting government appreciation, we are getting government traction, we are getting government orders. Something is very unheard of when it comes to government orders, because it takes a lot of time to furnish, to materialize, right? But as you can see that we have within 7 months we started with after launch we started with 5 warehouses as a pilot in a state in India. From those 5 warehouses, just as of 2 weeks back, we got an order for, we have got in principle approval for an order of 1,000 warehouses in that particular state, in one state in India. When the COVID times were going on, this is what we have done in the last maybe 20 days, 15 days, right? So this is what says that our solution is working. We provide you loans sitting at home. We provide you loans using the app to the farmer. We provide you an instant credit, which currently takes 7 to 10 days for any farmer, right? We provide you low interest rates. We provide you an increase, essentially implementing an increase in you as a farmer's income, right? Because you do not have to spend your working hours on running after banks, right? And we have stopped that. We have tweaked our product. We have offered banks very novel solutions, and we have able to clock 1,000 warehouses. And you can see $1 million in principal funding just within at a time when the nation is mostly shut with COVID-19. We were able to do this within the last 20 days. This shows that, and especially time taken was 7 months. In our sector, in B2B sector, banks, then governments, these sales cycle, anywhere you just search for it. We went to Singapore once in a Money 2020 conference, and everyone, we just heard that in B2B and especially in government and banks, the sales cycles are more than 12 to 18 months. We closed 4 different banks, 2 different banks, 2 different warehouses, 2 different warehouse corporations with 1,000 warehouses within 7 months of operations. We are working with a credit rating agency, Experian, which you must have already heard of. It's Europe. It's an European company. We are an IIM Ahmedabad startup. We are getting a lot of traction. So this shows that in India, and by the way, in India we are the first to launch to do a loan on an agricultural loan on blockchain. We are the first in the country, and we are the first implementation on a blockchain sandbox in the country. No one has done that yet. So yeah, so this is what we have done. I would love questions regarding that as well, because this is a very viable use case we are tackling. And the traction we have got shows that banks, be it COVID or not, be it COVID situation or not, banks need such a solution because they are facing frauds every single day. This is how blockchain works. This is where blockchain is very effective, and we are seeing that. We are seeing its effect. All right, this is the last slide. So okay, just before going there, any question? Any question till now? Keeping in your, I have a question. Keeping in your discussion for the use cases, what's your take on usability of blockchain without integrating IoT in it? Great. How far can the blockchain technology go on its own without IoT intervention? Particularly, all right, perfect. So, of course, there's humongous approach to using blockchain, implementing blockchain even without. So this is a conversation. This is a question by Aisha. So Ms. Aisha, this is a very good question. IoT is just a good part of blockchain and of a blockchain implementation. It is not an imperative part of a blockchain implementation. It is not the very required underlying base. It is not that. So what IBM Food Trust, I last read about IBM Food Trust. What it is doing is, see, try to understand what it is doing is, it's at some positions it is bringing in IoT. If it's not, what it is doing it whenever. So for example, if the same data in a factory or while doing trading of that particular 1 kilograms of potatoes, maybe all of that when happen in the real world, even now, the practical world, even now, you write, you document it, right? You record what transaction happened, what trade happened, at what price was this 1,000 quintals of rice sold, and then where did it go, and then what happened in the factory. All of this is anyways documented, but you can tamper with that data any day, right? So that is where blockchain comes in. That same recording, if it happens on a blockchain, and you can access it sitting at your home, which you cannot do in the current case, because Hindustan Unilever will never give you access to the databases, right? That's not practical, right? So when that is happening, then you can see that how blockchain is leveraging its own technology without even using IoT, because it is IoT just gives it an extra hand. It is not an imperative, right? It is just an extra hand. That is what I believe. And yes, definitely, that is how far that blockchain can go without IoT intervention. It is a good to have, not a must have. If I must say in product management terms, it is that way. So blockchain has immense potential even without discussing IoT. In finance also, you don't need IoT, right? But blockchain is working immensely well in finance, because in finance, everything is about fraud and fraud protection and such things, right? Blockchain is doing great in finance without the need of IoT. Why do you need IoT in finance? Nowhere, right? So yes, of course, yes. So supply chain management also without IoT's usage, I believe I have adequately answered your question. So that is where, yeah, we do it. A lot of blockchain can be used, and even we are using blockchain in WHF finance without using IoT till now, and people have been interested, right? If that would have been the case, that we cannot work without IoT, we would not have banks in our pockets, right? We would not have governments at our side implementing our solution, right? So that is, I believe I have adequately answered your question. So I'll take some more questions next. I'll just complete my last slide. This is just two myths of blockchain that I want to make sure that it is gone from the discussion. One is blockchain is a truth machine. It is not. It is all about, as computer science students, we know a very critical concept: garbage in, garbage out. The same works for blockchain as well. If you feed garbage to blockchain, it will give you garbage results, because blockchain cannot think of its own, right? It is a ledger. It is not a supercomputer. It's not an artificial intelligence technology. It is a ledger. That's it. Think of blockchain as just a decentralized ledger, copy of that centralized ledger across different entities on the network. Nothing more than that. If you feed it wrong information, if you use oracles to feed it outside information, and if that oracle is not working properly, the blockchain will get erratic data, and it will give you erratic results. So if, for example, as I told you, that the carrier wanted to implement travel insurance on blockchain, right? So in-flight insurance on blockchain. So what would have happened if the system that we use to provide external data, such as flight delays, flight cancellations, to the blockchain, if it would have malfunctioned, if it would have said that the flight got cancelled when it did not, the blockchain will still work, right? The smart contract will still run. The insurance amount will still be paid to the insured person without even the flight getting cancelled. Blockchain is not a truth machine. It is just what you give. It will give you a result based on that. If you give it garbage, it will give you garbage out, right? Another thing is blockchain is free. Blockchain looks free. Blockchain is not free. Blockchain, no one has control over blockchain network, but implementing a blockchain solution, a technology in itself, is pricey. Even now, it's still pricey, right? Because you have to set the network, you have to set the cloud on which the blockchain will run, or the on-premise server on which the blockchain will run. You have to connect it to the internet. You have to bear the cost. You have to bear the electricity cost. You have to bear the nodes cost, because as a single entity cannot run a blockchain. It does not make sense. It is as good as a database, right? So you need a public or a permissioned network, right? So once you're setting it up, all those nodes will consume money. You have to set up multiple AWS accounts, or maybe use Azure's blockchain as a service, multiple instances of it. All of this costs money. It is not, because it's not just download and use it on your computer and that's done. It is not. It is not free. Setting up, integrating, everything takes charge. Everything is costly, right? Till now. So that is somewhere blockchain needs to work on two things. It needs to be more practical in usage. Definitely, it is especially when terms of transactions per second are concerned. And one is that it has to reduce its cost to something like which people are used to seeing in its everyday servers, right? I think I'm done. All right, just a shameless plug. I would love to share that I just published my book by Asia's largest publisher in IT. BPP publications, the same ones who publish Yashwant Kanetkar, C, C++, Java, which we all have studied during our colleges. I don't know if it's there in your country as well, but definitely Rishi sir has definitely given that book to a lot of his students as well. And so it is available on Amazon. It has been written, it has been co-authored with Srinivas and Gokul. Srinivas Mahankali is India's in India, government of India's principal blockchain consultant, and one of the principal blockchain consultants. And Gokul was an ex-director at PwC, and PwC has been doing great work in blockchain as well. So I believe that this should be very good. The book starts from basics, essentials of cryptography. This is how I designed the book: essentials of crypto, essentials of blockchain, and then it comes on to how blockchain and crypto work, and then cryptography, not cryptocurrency, the basic concept of blockchain. So how these work, then smart contract auditing, testing in blockchain. This is covered in detail because this is one of the most booming sectors inside blockchain. And blockchain being 2020 is LinkedIn's 2020's #1 skill in for the year, right? And then it ends with how you can build a future in blockchain. So this is available across the globe. Just search for secure chains. The links are there below. I would love that if you read and share your reviews on Amazon. It would be really awesome for me. Yeah. So I think I am done. Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. I have one question. I'm Rishi. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Like you said in one of the slide that the blockchain is going to reduce the size of the data and send only important data to the upper layer.
Yes, sir.
Like out of 300, suppose 100 KB data is there, so it will send only 10 KB data to 10 KB data to or 10 data, 10 byte data. So the how blockchain will decide that it is the 10 KB data is important.
So okay.
Like how.
Yes, sir. I got your question. Amazing question. So, so technically, I'll just go back to that slide. I think no. Oh, I didn't have a slide on that. Okay. So, so essentially, yeah. I'll explain it. So, what happens is, so basically, when we are doing that, especially in a Bitcoin network, so if you see the headers, if you see the data that gets transmitted over the Bitcoin network for one transaction, every transaction, the entire header is consisting of a lot of data apart from the transaction, actual critical transaction data, which is what I said, that which is hardly 20 or 30 kbps. It is not for the network to decide that which data is important. Everyone knows that. So if you take a deeper look into how the header looks, I don't remember the exact structure, and it is available on the internet. So if you look at the structure, only 10 to 15 to 20% of that entire data is what the actual transaction data contains. That okay, this is the wallet address for Rishi sir, this is the wallet address for Abhishek, 1 Bitcoin was transferred, and this is the data which is there. Everything else is just headers of previous blog, this blog, that blog. VRS are 3 parameters that are put in every transaction on Bitcoin, and these are some parameters that go in a timestamp, platform, and everything. A lot of these I've really forgotten exact parameters, but a lot of parameters are just go along with the transaction. But only essential is the 20-30% of that data, which says that what is the transaction that happened. So by doing this, what you can do is you can just transfer that part and make sure that everything is done off the chain, right? So this is how it accomplishes it. Yeah, you can read deeper about it. It is a very good concept, but still people have not been able to implement it a lot. As I can see, you can just visit the Explorer, Bitcoin Explorer. You can see. Okay, so this so this was called segregated witness, right? When Bitcoin brought in SegWit, it was called SegWit. What is segregated? SegWit is segregated witnesses. It is segregating the important. This is the concept. Segregating this. I did not tell the name of the concept at that time. You are segregating the actual witness, actual data that is important for the transaction from the rest of the data that anyways goes with the entire every transaction. So this is what SegWit is. You can read about SegWit. SegWit was offered in one of the BIPs. BIP are the documents like you see in internet, RFC, request for comment. Similarly, BIPs are the protocol in the instructional documents in blockchain. So you can read about that definitely, and it is a good concept. So there are a few concepts you must read about SegWit. Then there's Lightning Network, which handles it in a different manner by creating a separate channel and doing all the transaction of the chain. So again, sir, in Lightning Network also, what they're doing is they are still transacting, and they're not letting the other blockchain know. But eventually they will. So what they're doing is they're just taking from the blockchain one output. So because Bitcoin and everyone just works on output and input, right? What goes from input, what comes out as output, and how much was spent in that, right? Unspent transactions, spent transactions, and all of these concepts you must get deeper into. So you just take an output that 10 bitcoins are available with Alice, and then for an entire month maybe Alice is transacting with Starbucks from that output of 10 bitcoins. And after that, when they have to finally reconcile it, they again tell to the blockchain that okay, this is the transaction that happened, and the blockchain network says that okay, पहले ये था, बाद में ये था, हो गया. That's it. That's essentially what it is, how it works.
Okay, one more thing that you told me that we can implement the blockchain for agriculture field.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so like if I have to implement a software, I have to design a software for like I want to know that my potato chips packet is vegetarian, pure vegetarian. So
Yeah.
can I design a software for that? And can you please tell me in 5 minutes that how can I design it? How can I prepare a solution for but my potato chips packet is pure vegetarian or not?
Right. So so again, this would be a solution to discuss, right? Because I don't think if anyone has implemented the solution or not, right? And if I would have the answer, then I would have implemented it already, created a business out of it. Let's discuss it. So I believe what my thoughts are coming in is that so every batch of potato, once it is being harvested and then sent over to the mandi, right, or the farm gate, right, by the farmer, every batch of potato will be recorded on the blockchain, right? Now once that batch goes to the, and every stage of that supply chain will be recorded to the blockchain. And again, as Miss Aisha asked, that is IoT involved? No, IoT is not involved in this. The solution that I just come to my mind, I don't think I'll use IoT in it anywhere, right? So I may not. So that particular batch, I am recording that okay, this batch of potato came to the mandi, then it went to the factory. Then when it went to the factory, then these were the two batches. This was the batch of potato, this was the salt, this was the spices and condiments. All of these are recorded in quantity, in batch number, in maybe in the form of some code onto the blockchain. And then when these come together and make a packet of chips, a packet of Lay's chips, then you can trace that. Now once that Lay's packet of chips is formed, now that will again be recorded on the blockchain, which will say that okay, this is the gram, this is the net weight, this is the composition, this is the final batch number, or this is the final number. And now you will understand that this batch was created out of these three components of potato, spices and all, whose batch numbers are this, whose history is already available on the blockchain, and nothing other than this was included in the creation of this particular packet. I believe this is one solution by which you can, how practical that is. Again, we have to go much deeper into it, and maybe a lot of research. But I believe that this is how you can match what maybe the hash of the packet and the hash of the individual potato, spices and salt is, do they match or not? That is how blockchain works, right? I believe that this is a solution that could be used.
So it means data can be tampered at individual level when we are going to enter it. So it can be tampered.
So it can be tampered, but what happens? Why a blockchain is so yeah, there are a lot of problems. That is why blockchain is not still being used into supply chain, into insurance in a mainstream fashion. But sir, what I personally believe is that if there are multiple entities involved, right? If there's an entity involved who wants to create good packets, right? So they would ensure that multiple entities write to the same blockchain, right? Now, if there are two different supply chain providers, there are two different suppliers, right? If both the suppliers provide different kinds of data, and one of them tries to tamper with it, the other entity who is honest and who wants to deliver good chips packets, right? Now, Lay's does not want its chips to have any kind of non-vegetarian item, right? It is not about that Lay's would tamper with it. Lay's would not want to make it happen. But why would Lay's not be able to avoid it? Because Lay's does not know what all goof ups are being done by the 50 different suppliers that Lay's has, right? So then Lay's would try to implement a solution where all these suppliers would write to a single blockchain, and that blockchain will be visible across all the entities which Lay's wants. That is where you use a permission blockchain, where you want a set of entities to look at a set of data, and others cannot view that data, and everyone cannot view that data. So you using that blockchain, maybe Lays will be able to bring this in place, most probably.
Okay. And you said now we are sorry.
It's okay. I wanted to add something to this point. Can I add it now, or should I wait?
Please. I think if this is the point, then please go ahead.
Okay, what I wanted to basically discuss here is that, for example, I being a consumer, I am, let's just say, matching the hash of the potato chips packet with the hash in the blockchain. So there is a lot of confidential information that must have been there throughout the supply chain, which the company does not want the consumer to know.
Great question. Great question. Yes, yes.
So
Please
what
continue.
do you so what do you think should we do in this case? What could be a viable solution that we can do in order to have multiple, let's just say, access control? Like, for example, the consumer has the access to different kind of data, and all the company and the stakeholders must have the access to a different kind of data from the same chain or same barcode or whatever the hash is.
Right, right, right. Great question. As I just explained while I was talking about my solution with Rishi sir, as I explained, this is what a permissioned blockchain is. This is what a federated blockchain is. So the difference between, so I'm pretty sure a lot of you know about the various types of blockchains. I'll just go over it in a minute. I think I have time. Yes, I do. So what happens is there are three types of blockchain. One is public, one is permissioned or federated, and one is private. Private blockchain is very restricted to some cases, right? And people just have started considering it as centralized systems only. Let's not talk about that. And then comes public and private permission blockchain. So in a public blockchain like Ethereum and Bitcoin, what will happen is anything that goes on the blockchain will be visible by everyone across the network, right? Public entities, private entities, government entities, anyone, right? This is not something which you said that this is what something that Hindustan Unilever or Lays would not want to happen, right? And that is where it would use a federated or a permissioned blockchain. What happens in that is that federated blockchain is just like a centralized systems, but using blockchain's technology, using the decentralized ledger that we all talked about, right? So what happens is that then Lays would have, while setting up the blockchain, Lays would create nodes. Lays would create nodes between, so a consumer might be a node, three different suppliers might be three different nodes, right? The Food and Safety Corporation of India might be a different node, right? All these can be a node writing onto the blockchain, but everyone will have exactly this feature that everyone will have different level of access. The Food and Security Control Board in the country will have access to the entire blockchain. I believe so, right? So that it can make sure. So now it can make sure that okay, things are really going well according to what is to be done. The suppliers will only have access to the supply that they are providing, and that's it. They will stop there. They will only be able to write to the blockchain. They might not be able to read from the blockchain. That is what Lays will set. Consumer might be able to see all those things which are related, which are relevant to the consumer, but not everything that is being shown to the national body, what is being shown to the partners, nothing. So this is a federated blockchain is your answer. It is what gives you the freedom of providing access controls. It has one node, it can have one validator node, and it can make other nodes as full nodes and validator nodes. It's in your hands. It's in Lays or Hindustan Unilever's hands. So I think this should answer your question. Did it answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Great. Okay. Yes, sir. You had a question.
Yeah, you said that we are not using machine learning into blockchain.
Did I say that we are not using machine learning in blockchain?
No,
sir.
no, you said that it's not a blockchain. Machine learning is.
No. What I meant was that blockchain is a ledger, right? So one of the myths is that blockchain is a truth machine, right? But what I meant was that blockchain, like artificial intelligence or machine learning, they can create a lot of their own truth based on a segment of truth that has been provided to them, right? You provide them 2000 data sets of a particular genre, they'll create the future for you. Am I right? That is what machine learning and AI do, right? But blockchain is just a technology. Blockchain is a ledger. Ledger does not have a brain. Ledger is just a record keeping solution. So using blockchain, you cannot expect that blockchain will give you in return a forecast. Blockchain cannot give you a forecast if it is being fed incorrect information, which is also the same case for machine learning. If you feed incorrect data sets to a machine learning algorithm, it will develop into a poor algorithm, and the future it will forecast will be very poor, right, sir? So this is what I was saying, and especially at least machine learning has the characteristic of taking something and creating a future out of it. Blockchain is not. Simply running your code on its network based on certain set conditions, providing you the characteristics of immutability, transparency, security, and decentralization. That's it. That's all blockchain is all about. That was my point.
Okay, and suppose I want to ask about cloud thing.
Yeah.
I am using one cloud for suppose 10 resources of MS Word. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I'm using 10 resources, and I want to check, I want to put a blockchain method which can monitor my whole servicing exchange process for month. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So can we do that? That my blockchain system can monitor the whole system of servicing services exchange between the cloud and the my system, my
So,
company,
what kind of
and
service?
can we monitor and like suppose I'm using the MS Word for $1 per day. So
Right,
I'm using 10 thread of MS Word. So it's
right,
like $10 per day.
right,
Suppose someday my company is using 5 thread, 6 thread,
right,
and
right.
it should not be affected by the other suppose it should not be tampered, and
Right.
it should be secure, and it should be monitored properly that the services is available all the time or not. So can we use blockchain to check the monitoring of all these exchange of services?
Definitely. In fact, I would say that this is a very classic use case of blockchain where we can do that. So what will happen is, sir. So when see currently even Azure would be noting in its own database that which all duration was when your university used how many threads of Microsoft Word. Am I right? It
Yeah,
is something
yeah,
that Azure is already noting in its own database, but you don't trust Microsoft, right? You don't trust
yeah.
Microsoft. That is why you want a blockchain solution to be implemented. So what you will do is, whenever you will be starting a thread, you will set up a blockchain, you will run it accordingly, you'll build a system, you'll have to build a system for everything, right? So you'll build a
Yeah.
system. Whenever anyone in your network, now you can think of it in a very large manner, that whenever any student in your network, how do you recognize a student? He will have at the rate utp dot dot edu email address. Whenever any utp.edu email address downloads a word thread or a word service, consumes a word service from Azure, what you will do is you will open your blockchain. You are a node. You have set up a node on an AWS server. It could be an AWS server node. It could be also an
Mhm,
Azure blockchain as a service node, right? And then you'll set up that
mhm.
whenever a thread is consumed, it writes into the blockchain. The write capability will be with your node only, and your node will know that whenever a thread has been consumed. So whenever it is done, you'll write it and you'll write it into the blockchain, and whenever the thread is closed, you'll again write it into the blockchain. So this will, the before and after will give you the duration as well. When that happens at the end of the month, if your bill differs from what Azure has given you, you can definitely, now you cannot impose anything, because sir, it is all about placing trust in the decentralized system. While you are using Azure services, you're still trusting that centralized system of Microsoft only. Until and unless Azure starts using blockchain, you cannot depend completely on blockchain. What you can do is you can keep a separate copy up. ऐसा होता है, this happens, that you are not trusting a friend. He's making the payments. You are also making the payments, and you are keeping your own track as well. So that at the end of the month, when you say how much was the is the balance, he says something and you say that I have all the data written, that no, this day we spent this much on food, this day we spent this much on furniture. So I have it written. You cannot impose that on your friend, but you can say that I also have a record. So unless Azure uses a blockchain with you, the same blockchain network you both use, you both become nodes on the same blockchain network. Till then, you cannot impose, or you cannot ascertain that functionality of blockchain. But as a different record keeping, you can use your own blockchain, which you can tally that whether Microsoft is actually doing the right thing or not. But you cannot impose, because for imposing you have to be on the same network.
Mhm.
That's what I believe.
And
Yes.
and how much blockchain is secure on means nowadays nobody is secure now if you're in on internet.
Great question, sir.
So
Great
how
question.
much it's
Great question. I don't know why I did not put this on my slide. I always teach it for 1 hour in my lectures when I go to colleges, sir. Security of blockchain is a very, very important concept. Now, it is a very subjective matter. Security of a blockchain network, right? It is wrong. In fact, when I was writing this myth for blockchain, I remember I had written that there was one myth that blockchain is 100% secure. Believe me, I don't know if I go to my PPT and if I do Control Z, you'll see it might come that blockchain is 100% secure. It was a myth that I was putting. Blockchain is not 100% secure. Now, the security of blockchain is totally depends on the factor of the network. For example, okay, so for example, so how did blockchain as a concept attain its security features, right? It did because in the case of the example, Axis Bank example that I took in the beginning, what happened was that Axis Bank's ledger was on its in its own hands, so he can do anything with it, right? When that same ledger is copy pasted, the first definition that I gave, it is copy pasted across 10 different people on the network, maybe across the globe. And now you suddenly decide that I will delete my ledger or I will delete the transaction from my ledger. Why is it secured? Why cannot you do that? Because you cannot act on it on your alone, right? There are 9 more people who will say that no, Rishi, you have done something wrong, because we 9 of us have a different ledger where this Abhishek gives Rishi 100 rupees transaction has been noted. However, you do not have that, so that means that you are the culprit, not the network, right? So this way, you will not be able to force this thing into the network without so flawlessly, right? You will be caught. Now there is an attack called a 51% vector attack, right? It is a very famous form of attack, but it is mostly theoretical. What happens is that to actually make some changes into a blockchain network, what you have to do is you have to attain more than 51% of the blockchain's network strength. Okay, once you have that, you can force the other nodes, or you don't even have to force the other nodes. You can forge blocks which will have duplicate or double spent transactions, which will be your fraudulent transactions, right? And no one will be able to do anything because you will have the longest chain, because you have more than 51% of the control. So you will be the miner who is forging the blocks. Since you are forging the blocks, if you include only you are forging the blocks and no one else is able to do that, you can include incorrect transactions, fraudulent transactions, and it will go into the blockchain and no one will be able to protect it, right? But to make that happen is a humongous task, because especially in systems where consensus mechanism is proof of work, for example, you have to show that your systems worked a lot to make that blockchain secure, to validate those transactions, to make arrive at a consensus, right? You use proof of work, you solved a lot of complex cryptographic problems. Now to have that kind of strength of the to do something like this to a network like Bitcoin, it is next to impossible. So, just sometime back, when not sometime back, sir. Okay, a very good concept for everyone. I don't know if you guys are updated with this or not. Just 7 days after what is today? Today 7th May. Just 5 days later, from 5 days from now, we are going to see the third Bitcoin halving. What Bitcoin halving is that? Whenever you mine, I'll keep it very short because we are low on time. What Bitcoin halving means is that whenever currently a miner mines a block in the Bitcoin network, he gets 12.5 Bitcoins as a reward. Freshly minted 12.5 Bitcoins as a reward. The miner or the mining pool, they get it, right? It started from 50 Bitcoins, came to 25. It started from 25, came to 12.5. Now it is about to be 6.25 Bitcoins on 12th of May, around 12th of May, right? So what happens? So since then, after that, every miner will start getting only 6.25 Bitcoins. So what will happen is that what has happened till now is that the complexity of the blockchain network has gone up to 140 or 110 on average exo hashes. That is a humongous complexity. You really need big farms sitting in China or other parts of the world to mine a block at the moment, right? As a pool, right? Now, for someone to actually negate this entire effort and gain more than 51% of the power of this blockchain network, you can imagine what kind of money and what kind of server resources he has to invest. But even if the world's richest person is able to do that and is able to attain more than 50 by spending huge amounts, is able to attain more than 51% of Bitcoin's network power, once it does it. So this is where the this is where the paradox comes. Once the particular user is able to get more than 51% of the hash power and able to do some fraudulent transaction in the network, everyone else in the network will understand that this network has been compromised. When that happens, everyone else will leave that network. Everyone else will say that this network is now compromised. There's no use of staying in this network. They'll leave that network. They'll take the last backup. They'll take the last recorded transaction and they'll continue from it in a different network where again you don't have power. So why will you do this? Why will you invest such an amount of money to ultimately have nothing for yourself, right? So this is why 51% attack is a very theoretical concept, especially does not happen in a lot of blockchain networks. And this is why blockchain networks are secure. Also, the first concept that everyone teaches, I guess, is that a blockchain network is always built on the core belief that a majority of the people in that blockchain network are going to be good, are not going to be maligned. They are going to be benign. They are going to be very good, right? So that's why out of 10 people, if even 6 people are good, you cannot do an attack on blockchain, because for to turn on the blockchain network, to make it insecure, to make it like a loophole in the blockchain network, you have to have 51%. So out of 10 nodes, you have to have 6 nodes which can collude with you. So this is not a concept that blockchain is built on. Blockchain believes that 6 nodes out of 10, because you're decentralized network, right? You do not know all those 10 nodes. You are spread across the world. So more than so a larger number of nodes will be good and benign only. So this is a belief. So that is why blockchain networks are secure. One last concept, sir. That is why it is always said in a blockchain network, the more the nodes, it is always the merrier. The more the nodes, the merrier, right? Because the more the nodes increase, the number of nodes increase, the complexity will increase, and gaining 51% control will become harder and harder. See, controlling 5 people, 6 people out of 10 is fine. 11 out of 20 is difficult. 51,000 out of 1 lakh is further difficult, right? So the more the nodes in a blockchain network, it will become more difficult for anyone to collude with 51% others and then make blockchain insecure. So that is why, especially public blockchains, they are very, very secure. They are very secure. You cannot do anything with blockchains. But private, of course, yeah, smaller networks, of course, you can gain a hold of this the blockchain network by increasing your power. That's it.
Okay, thank you. I'm done with questions.
I hope, sir, I was adequately able to answer the questions.
Yeah, I'm new to this blockchain, so I have to study a lot.
Great,
I just
sir,
noted all the key points.
Great, sir. So happy to help, sir. I don't see any other questions as of now. Are there any other questions anyone wants to ask, or else I'll just close?
Hello, Mr. Abhishek. I just posted a question on the chat box.
How much it costs to implement blockchain in any project, right?
Yes.
This is your question. Great. So all right. So it varies by use cases. So right, for example, we are using currently, if you just I'm forgetting the exact cost, sir, but like in our own company, when we are using a blockchain network, we are setting up a blockchain network on an AWS instance, right? Now we are even till now currently, when we don't have a lot of partners, what we have done is we have taken a simple T2 micro instance on AWS. We have set it up. We have set up a blockchain network inside, and that's running, and that's it. So currently, blockchain is not costing us separately. What we are paying for is the T2 micro instance, and Amazon anyways gives 1 year free of T2 micro instance, right? So we have 3 different T2 micro instances. So we are just paying for that, and which is I think 750. The bill for us for those 2-3 instances just comes at 7,500 INR per a month, right? One of them is free, the rest to give us 7,500 bill. Blockchain is not costing us separately. We are running blockchain on the AWS instance itself. So that is it. That's all it's happening. Now, when we go to partners, when we implement it on partners, now either what we'll have to do is either we'll have to bill all our partners because of the work they're doing on their ends of the blockchain, or we'll include it in our billing and bill them, or we'll make sure that the blockchain is set up on their AWS account so that they pay the thing. So anyways, whenever you are increasing your network of blockchain, that is where you inculcate more costs, and it is just based on the infrastructure you're using. Now, if you want to set up a full node on an ASIC, on an application specific instruction computer, I guess that's the full form. So that is what miners use. That is what these Chinese miners use. They set up farms, mining farms, and they use ASICs. That is something that costs a lot, but that is purely cryptocurrency mining. But otherwise, if you're just implementing a blockchain solution you can do it on your laptop, you can do it on your cloud. Just keep it online and just pay for this infrastructure. Don't pay for the blockchain separately. You don't have to do that. And Azure, AWS, I think Google as well, they have come up with very, very neat and good blockchain as a service. So you knew IaaS, you knew PaaS, you knew SaaS. Now there's something called BaaS, blockchain as a service, and these companies have come up with that is very cost effective. So I believe that you can definitely explore. If you're looking at any project, you can explore. Anyways, you will get the calculation before, and then you can decide that whether based on your use case, maybe it needs global nodes, then it would be a different concept, right? But I believe that you can just note the infrastructure cost and go ahead with it. Then you can decide. It's not a lot. Even though I said that blockchain has its own cost, so does infrastructure, right? So does server infrastructure. So it's not a lot to not try blockchain.
So to further continue on that question, you wrote a book on secure chain, cyber security, and blockchain powered automation. So in this book, have you got any project on usage of blockchain in cyber security?
Talking about use cases?
No.
No, sir. I'll be very honest. I have just in this particular book, I have just covered because this was my first book, and this was I started this back in 2018 December. So at that time, even not a lot of resources were available on blockchain on the internet. So that's why I believe that now people need the basic resource. So that is why I designed the entire book in the form of basics of cryptography, basics of blockchain, and then what I've discussed in terms of solutions and practical solutions is the testing tools. I've given testing tools, I've given the codes, and all these things into the book. Smart contract auditing, I've taken smart contracts and audited. All of these have been given. Some real life use cases have been given in terms of ISO standards and HIPAA standards. That if you are an IT guy, or if you are in a company, you run an IT company which use blockchain, that uses blockchain, you need to include like you do ISO 27001 in your organizations. There's a set of rules and regulations and frameworks that you need to implement in a blockchain based organization as well. I've included those, but but this thought has also crossed my mind, and that is why just a week back I had a very long call with A Press from United States. You must be knowing about A Press publications, Springer, actually the same guys who do Springer. I had a discussion with them that now we are planning a book on completely on practical of blockchain. It will start from basics of blockchain, like Bitcoin, setting up Bitcoin, setting up Ethereum, creating an Ethereum testnet, creating a Bitcoin testnet, doing some transactions, creating a smart contract on Ethereum, and then we'll go on to all these things like insurance on blockchain, maybe because one of my favorite concepts. If I write, I'll write on it. Agriculture on blockchain, which I'm doing personally. Supply chain on blockchain. I will be including these, and I am going to include a lot of practical use cases as well. Everything code, everything will be code in that book. So already discussed, honestly, not in secure chains, but yeah, secure chains will provide you a good grasp of the entire concept from cryptography, starting from cryptography to testing and to career prospects to ISO and framework. But this is what secure chains will give you. But next book with A Press or any publisher, I have not finalized it yet, but it will give you a lot of code to take a look at, a lot of use cases across brilliant global cases. I believe that. Yeah.
Sounds very great for all of us. But even if you include cyber security also, that
Right.
will it's a cyber security is the most threatening
Right.
for all the sectors. If we
Right.
increase the cyber security also, in the blockchain application, that will be
Right. In fact, with the oncoming of quantum computing, I've read a lot. So one of my authors, the third author, Gokul Alex, he has. So there's a section of quantum computing and cyber security in this book, Secure Chains. That's a very good section. That was specifically written by Gokul Alex. Gokul Alex, if you follow him, he has been doing a lot of work in quantum computing, cyber security, and a lot of such technical stuff. So that definitely that's a very good part of the book. And yes, cybersecurity is definitely endangered because of the new advances in the technologies. SHA-256 and all these might be at the cusp of being broken. But yes, definitely, I would take a look at it. I would take a look at it, use cases, how to solve, how to protect these as well. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for the suggestion.
because if you, me, suppose
So your voice is cracking.
yeah.
So can you write it in the chat? Your voice is cracking.
Suppose if any want to pursue a career or a maybe beginner or fresher engineering postgraduate or something, is there any the career opportunities will be there in blockchain and pursue the career? Suppose you do not have any prior, do we need to have any prior knowledge before pursuing the career on blockchain?
Right. All right. So I would be very honest. Blockchain is in its such native space right now, such native, such like nascent stage. Sorry, not native. I'm very sorry. Such nascent stage right now. And even though LinkedIn has voted blockchain as the number one 2020's number one skill for the job market, but blockchain has not taken a shape where there's a huge competition. It has not. So if you're starting in, honestly, I would say that if you're starting, like I started a career in blockchain, and it could be a very type of career, right? I do not like in my own company, we have developers who are coding on our blockchain network. I don't have to code, right? But then still I built a career in blockchain only, even though I'm not coding. So there's so as a product manager or as a co-founder, right? So there could be a variety of roles in blockchain, just not necessarily you have to code. And apart from that, there are very good resources. That's why these are a lot of companies are coming up with courses and master's degrees and all in blockchain, right? And which you very well know. And so if you are doing this, and then there's a huge potential, and no prerequisites are needed, just a basic knack of computer science with a basic knowledge of JavaScript, preferred if Go language, because Ethereum and all have one of their clients in Go, which is called Geth, which is very famous. So Go is a very good language for hyper threading and all, multi-threading, and so it works well with blockchain systems. And so such knowledge, basic knowledge would work. And rest anyways, a lot of people teach. When I teach, so when I go to teach blockchain, I take 2 days, 5.5 hours a day, the entire workshop, every back to back 2 days. Even after the end of 2 days, I am still left with so much to tell all the students. I'm left with so much of concepts and knowledge still remaining, and that too without having touched any piece of code. All that introduction from basic to use cases, to concepts, to consensus, decentralized distributed computing, all of this take up the entire 2 days with some basic practicals. So actually studying blockchain, even for me back in 2016-17, it took at least 7-8 days to understand blockchain entirely. Honestly, I still remember to understand how Bitcoin blockchain and Ethereum and everything works. So and that time a lot of resources were not there. Now there are a lot of resources. So I believe that yes, you can build a career very easily in blockchain at this point in time, because there's a lot of scope and no prerequisites as per se.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Any other question? Anyone?
Okay, I have a request to you and the organizers, if we can have part 2 of this lecture with how to set up a simple blockchain application from the scratch. That will be like
right. Okay.
very beneficial for all of us if you could have a talk on that as well. So it's my request to you and to all the organizers to please consider this suggestion.
Surely. So I'm actually currently in already in discussion with, for example, with Amity, my own alma mater, then with a couple of colleges and as well, and especially so I'm an advisor with IIB Council. I advise their certified blockchain professional course. That's an entire full. Okay, so as you sir asked that whether there are resources and whether there are prerequisites, there's a brilliant course by IIB Council called Certified Blockchain Professional. So I think that's there in the poster. So you can just try that. It's called Certified Blockchain Professional. It's a full-fledged course, starts from the very basics, then purely hands-on. Very hands-on. You download Ethereum client, you download Bitcoin client, then you download Parity and Geth, and then you construct a blockchain from basic, and then do transactions, then check Ethereum balances, all of that using code. You do it. So that is one good course that I advise. So I know that the content is very good. You can check it out. It's a bit costly course, but yeah, if you can afford, definitely it's a good course, because I've known from the inside. I've advised it, so I know that the content, the entire content. I've not advised the entire content, but I've seen the entire content. It is very well placed. I mean, you can check it out. And of course, ma'am, so yeah, so any of this, if it happens, so what we can definitely plan one sometime later in the future, because a lot of is already going on at my startup as well, so I can't take back to back. But definitely I would love to do something if I'm again invited. And also, if something like this happens with someone else, what I'll do is I'll definitely share the course URL, surely. And apart from that, what will happen is, if I do it with anyone else, and if that's practical, then what I'll do is I'll share the link in this group as well. I'm in touch with Hamza, and of course Rishi sir has been I've been in touch with Rishi sir since the last 7 years, right? So definitely, I mean, what I'll do is I'll share the link. If it's a public event, then I can you all can join. I think it would be really good. So if something is planned like that, if it materializes, I'll make sure that I let it known to this group as well. Anyone who wants to join can join. So I'll make sure that if it's a technical concept, technical webinar, then I'll get you on the same page, and I'll share the link, ma'am. I'll share the link soon.
Thank you so much.
Share the link. Actually, they are asking for links. So can you please share the link, or can you give us the search string like IIB Council?
Yes, of course. I'm just writing it. It's already there on the poster shared as well. I'm just sending it here.
Okay.
I'm sharing it here, sir. So this is the course. So back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, I remember that the same EC Council, same guys, IIB Council, EC Council used to do certified ethical hacker course. So that was a very brilliant course. Even I wanted to do it, but at that time I was back in class 7th or 8th, or I guess yeah, I was in class 8 at that time. And I was not able to spend that kind of money on that certified ethical hacker course. But then I knew that this course was very good. So when I got a chance to advise their certified blockchain professional course, maybe 10 years later, this is now I am really happy that this course is in the market, and it is really good. The content is very good, well placed. You can definitely check. It's a bit pricey, but yes, it's a good content. Yes. Anything else? Is there anything else I can help with? Anything else anyone wants to know? Rishi sir, should we close? What's the?
Yeah, Hamza.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. If we don't have any more questions from the students, then we can
One
wrap up the
question,
session.
Sheikh,
I
one
guess.
question.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
One question is there in chat.
Let me check. What are your thoughts on requirement engineering on blockchain? There are always just a second. It says, what are your thoughts? Okay, so the question is, what are your thoughts on requirement engineering on blockchain? There are always changes, many people involved. So actually, I did not get the question properly. So what is it about requirement engineering on blockchain? Can you please clarify a bit? I just did not get the first part of the question. Like, what is the question? Is it are you talking about the technical requirements that go behind blockchain, because there are always a lot of changes happening, and then many people involved? Is it just maybe if you can say yes, then I would understand that. Yes, great. So all right. So this is a very big question, very important question in blockchain, especially because every single day blockchain is such in its blockchain is so much in its nascent stage that I would say that so essentially blockchain is facing a lot of technical dirt right now, right? It's facing a lot of technical debt right now. So whoever is coming up with anything, blockchain, it is taking blockchain forward by those many steps, right? So every day technology is going forward. So see, artificial intelligence took decades to come to fourth generation, right? No, not artificial intelligence. Computers took decades and decades to come to fourth or fifth generation, right? But blockchain has come to its fourth generation within 10 years, within 11 years. This is the 11th year going for blockchain, right? So when this is the speed at which blockchain is moving from just a currency method to a blockchain supporting smart contracts and programming on blockchain, then to a network with sidechain transactions and inter and cross transactions, and all of this is being explored in such a magnificent speed that yes, things are changing, but the have started to come out in very typical use cases. For example, okay, shows bad network quality. If I just pause, just let me know. So technically, the professional use cases have been in private and permission blockchains like R3 Corda, Hyperledger, especially Hyperledger by IBM and Linux Foundation, and what else? Ripple. All of these technologies have been at the forefront of professional development of professional use cases. So if you can study any of these, and you can get like Quorum, we have used Quorum by JP Morgan. So if you're using any of these technologies, they are not really evolving at such a breakneck speed as blockchain as a technology entirely is going. So that's why if you just pick up one Hyperledger, maybe Hyperledger is very famous. You can pick up Corda. I'm a certified Corda developer. So if you're picking up Corda is a good domain, good blockchain. It's a permission blockchain. You can solve a lot of industrial use cases with that. You can pick up Quorum. We use Quorum. So yeah, these things are anyways there. So that requirement changing will not be very functional for you. It's fine. It is fine to go. I think you can start with any of these languages, any of these blockchain networks, which I just said. Right, is it fine? If you can just yes or no. All right, great. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Maybe I'll just wait for 20 seconds, 15 seconds. If any other question comes in, otherwise Hamza or sir, we can wrap up. It's fine. I think I've crossed your time.
Or you can also say that you can help for proposing some project, or if I like me, some people want to propose a project for funding and etc. You can also help them in that project.
Right. So yeah, right. So for the technical know-how and the advices part, I can definitely take a look at all these projects, because we have a team as well, and I personally have been into blockchain a lot. I'm constantly publishing myself, so that is something I can do. funding, I believe that I've heard that Malaysia funds a lot of good projects, right? So I believe that if a good project is there, if you get good advice, then I think the country will definitely fund it as well. So that is a kind of help that we can definitely email, WhatsApp, everything is there. I'm on WhatsApp on the same number. I guess I've given the number, right? So yeah, I'm there. My LinkedIn is there. My email is there. So you can just please get in touch with me any day, no problem at all. I will try to help.
And your company will also help to complete that project, funded project.
It will be very difficult, sir, because we ourselves don't have money. We are a startup, very new startup, especially in a field where government does not pay you money. So so that is why that is something I don't know if I'll be able to help or not. I'm pretty sure I won't be. I think we are sustaining ourselves. That is a big thing. Even this COVID times, we cannot close down, shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Okay, Hamza.
as I had a discussion with sir as well, so for this this entire concept, sir, I will just take a minute. I would love to thank the head of department there, Dr. Aliza, right? Then Dr. Mazianti, I heard about you from Rishi sir, and then Miss Ralina Hamza for talking to me yesterday night late. I believe it was already about 10 p.m. at my end, so I don't know. It was at least 12:30 a.m. at yours. So thank you everyone for doing all of this to set this up. And I'm glad that this went on for more than 2 hours. I didn't know I had this much of content, especially when I'm talking to people from masters and PhDs. I mean, that's not the typical audience or the typical student base I've had in the last 3 years, in the last 2 years. I've taught so many people, but not PhDs and masters. And thank you, Rishi sir, for providing me this opportunity. I mean, after 7 years being in touch with you, it feels awesome. It feels amazing. Really, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abhishek, for giving me your time.
Thanks.
Giving us your time.
Thank you, sir.
There is one question. What is agent-based blockchain?
What is agent-based blockchain? I don't know. I've heard about this concept for the first time. I don't know if that's the right word or I don't know. I'm really not sure about agent-based blockchain.
Actually, there are agent-based system. Actually, there are lots of agent-based system.
Right.
And every agent has his different job to do. So maybe there is a concept or hybrid concept of blockchain algorithm and agent concept.
Right. So hybrid.
Agent
I have not used this word, but what about hybrid blockchain that I know? For hybrid blockchains, what I know about is that they are a combination of public and permission blockchains, basically. In fact, permission blockchain. Sir, your voice is cracking. Come again, please.
Sorry. You can speak.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So that is what I'm saying. That so what I know about hybrid blockchains is so permission blockchains are themselves hybrid blockchains, right? Say they take the concept of blockchains as in public blockchains, but they have imposed a control over who can join, who can validate transactions, who can record transactions, who can see transactions. So, for example, Axis Bank and SBI and ICICI are on the same permission networks, for example. And even in fact, they built a bank chain, right? In India, SBI spearheaded the formation of bank chain. It was very good concept, right? So it is a very good concept. So for example, now Axis wants to transfer 50,000 crores from their book of loans to ICICI Bank. It does not want Yes Bank to take a look at it. So that is where it is a blockchain. It is public. Everyone is on that blockchain. You can see a lot of transactions, but then Axis does not want a particular transaction which is being done between Axis and ICICI by being like open to Yes Bank, right? So what it will do is this P2P transaction will happen and in this entire network only, but Yes Bank will never get to know about it. So this is the hybrid concept that I know of, that where blockchain combines the open and public nature of blockchain with access control of standardized and centralized systems. Yeah.
Like she asked about the agent-based blockchain. So agent-based system is which has some particular task. Some agent has some particular task. Like I asked you about the monitoring of the services, So we can put an agent which is using the AI machine learning algorithm for data analysis and also blockchain parallelly for monitoring the whole services system, the exchange of services system. So my agent can use the.
Yeah. I've just searched for it. So what I see that it is not a type of blockchain because I never knew about this type as well. And that is what I'm able to see even from MIT, that it is so a blockchain agent based. It's a simulation. It's essentially a simulation. You can see, right, that it is not a type of blockchain because type of blockchain is not there. It is that's all the types that you know already of, right? So what agent-based blockchain, I believe, is that exactly when you're delegating certain tasks to certain agents inside a blockchain system, and then they simulate it entirely and give you a result. Am I right? I mean, this is what but I would not be able to shed a lot of light on it because I personally not use this. Yes,
agent-based systems are always for simulation. For simulation, different types of algorithm in a one box, and it has one particular task.
Yeah. So what I can see that if I would have had to use an agent-based simulation, what I would agent-based blockchain, which is not a blockchain type, then it is an simulation. I would have used it yes, I would have given different cases of warehouse receipt financing to all of these agents and would have simulated that what kind of frauds might happen even while they are inside a blockchain network, which we are thinking that blockchain network is eradicating frauds completely. But what might happen what might happen if this simulation based on simulation, that if different stakeholders or different nodes were given different capabilities to transact on the blockchain, warehouses, CMAs, and then blockchain banks, what kind of frauds can come up? This is something that I might have made all these agents and might have simulated that. So that could be an use case. That could be an example. Similarly for maybe other examples as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, I believe we are about to wrap up. So first of all, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Abhishek, for sharing his time with us and sharing his knowledge, precious knowledge with us. It's been a very fruitful lecture today, and I believe it will be very beneficial to all the participants as well. And apart from that, we are looking forward to have more such sessions, more lectures on blockchain technology as well as other technologies, AI or any other options. If you people have some suggestion, you can also suggest us some technology. And once again, we will try to communicate with Abhishek again, and we try to have another session if possible, and practical based.
With you, and I'll let you know that such a session is happening. As it's public, I'll make sure that I make you known of it. So Rishi sir, you are already on WhatsApp with me, so I'll make sure that I'll let you know.
That will be nice. And before finishing, I would like to ask all the participants if you can fill the feedback form and the attendance form as well, so that we can have the feedback for for today's lecture.
Yeah, so I have a basic so I would request you everyone that usually after the course the entire course I usually give 2 questions anonymously. 2 questions. I just ask them to submit 2 questions. Their rating out of 5. That's how the lecture was. Rating out of 5, and one liner feedback that what can improve, because that is how I then improve subsequent lectures. Right now, tomorrow I have one lecture with Amity. So last time I had an Amity's lecture, I have all that feedback collected with me, and now tomorrow definitely I'll be making sure I don't need to make those issues. So this is something. If I don't know if a form that, but I would love if I can get a rating out of 5 and a one-liner feedback, and if that can be good. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's it. So once again, thank you, Abhishek, and hope to see you next time again.
Same here. Thanks a lot, Hamza. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you everyone for participating in our today's session.
Thank you, Dr. Aliza.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Rishi. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hamza.
You're welcome all.
Come again, Hamza, are you saying?
I would like to give mic to Dr. Aliza, our HOD, if you want to put light on something and if you want to say something about this lecture.
Yeah. I think she's on. I think on mute. Yeah, Hamza, yes, please.
Yeah, it's okay. I think maybe she didn't get our message, or
Yes.
maybe her mic is mute.
Perfect. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Right.
So from our
Hamza, putting in a form link, right? So a lot of
okay.
people have left the meeting room. So can you take this link and maybe circulate it on the email for just the 12:30 people who attended, that if they can
I
fill this form. This is just one moment, anonymous form, rating and feedback, one line of feedback. That's it. No
okay,
need,
okay.
nothing.
I will mail them the link for the form as well.
Yeah.
And okay. Once again, thank you from our department side, and thank you from UTP organization for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Hamza.
We're
Stay
looking
connected.
forward to have a good session with you again. Thank you.
Surely. Same here. Thank you. Stay connected. Thank you, sir. Thank
Stay
you, Rishi,
connected.
sir.
Thank you.
Bye.